Stranded overseas, getting home over the past 12 months has been a painfully difficult task. But for those in India, it's now impossible. The government slamming our borders shut and warning of jail or big fines for rule breakers.
One couple caught up in the lockout is Kim and her husband Pankaj, who separated after Kim travelled to Mumbai to be with her dying father in January. She was due to fly back to Perth next week, but is now left to wait. And they both join us this morning. Thank you both of you for your time. Kim, you've been trying to get home for some time now. You're stuck in India. Can we ask, how are you?
How do you think I should be?
Yeah.
How do you think how people are? It's not good. That's the only thing I can say.
What is the situation like there now in Mumbai?
I think the global news is doing a good job in covering what's really happening in India, but I really think we should focus on what's happening in Australia. Because with the citizens and returning citizens, global news is everyone knows what's happening in India. Everyone knows. By me just saying again what's happening.
We're just having a small audio issue with you there, Kim. Pankaj, can I just ask you, I mean, did you ever think something like this could happen to an Australian citizen, to your wife, and how you feel about the fact she's stuck in India right now?
No, I don't think so. Anyone, would have probably in their wildest imagination thought something like this could happen, right? So when she left, in mid-Jan, unfortunately, she had to go because her dad expired, and she's very close to the family. And we knew that she is going into a situation where it's not as worse as it wasn't as bad as what it is now. Things were slightly better, and we thought it's just going to be a quick, fly in, fly out kind of a situation. But when we booked the flights, unfortunately, there were no flights available in terms of return till 4th of May, which is actually incidentally tomorrow. And we thought, you know what, let's just book it for now. And I'm sure we'll get one seat from Jan till May, and we'll ensure that we'll get you back quicker than that. And it was just supposed to be probably just a, 3-week trip or maybe 4 weeks max, So I'm sure if people, and it's not only about, people in India, anyone who is sort of left the country, if they had any kind of indication that something like this would happen where borders would be shut, you will get criminalized, all hope would be sort of taken away from you to get back. People would have had second thoughts or would have then knowingly decided that, okay, this is an option where it can happen. And that's what the government is saying, that, listen, if you go, we might shut the border if it gets really bad. And irrespective of you're a citizen or not, then you'll have to be stranded.
Pankaj,
then people would have thought differently.
There are great fears amongst, and our hearts bleed for what you two are going through and for others in the same situation. But there are great fears amongst the Australian community that there will be an outbreak brought in from India across our society, and it will then infringe upon our way of life here. How do you respond to those people? And I think the approval rating on this call from the Australian government is quite high. How do you respond to those people?
So if I can, probably there are two, and I understand the anxiety where people are saying, okay, if someone walks in from a country which is so aggressively, developing COVID, and the pandemic has gone from bad to worse to worse. So I completely relate to it, right? So we are citizens here too. I don't think a single person would want to walk in, knowingly that they are positive, right? Eventually, we all are citizens here, right? This is our home now. While we have a home there, this is also our home, right? So we don't want, we want both sides, to be taken care of. So I understand, people are nervous about it, and people, there's a high level of anxiety. But there's a government which has stood here. For Prime Minister Morrison has said that there is 99.99% of the time, the quarantine system has worked. There is infrastructure. This is a country which is a first world country. It's got abundance, it's got planning, it's got resources. With all this, if they can't plan a system where people are trickled in, put into better quarantine facilities if they think 99.99 is not enough, and then let them into the system, then I'm not sure what else will work in this world, because, Australia has everything going to make this happen, probably apart from the will of the government to make it happen.
Yeah.
So I relate to everyone who says that, listen, it's tough. And on behalf of everyone stranded and out there, if I can be their voice right now and say no one wants to walk in here by being positive and spread the COVID in the country, in the community, in their families, in their homes. That's not anyone's intention.
Well, we hope you're reunited soon. Kim, how much are you missing your husband right now?
Oh, a lot. This is the first time in probably 20 years we've been apart for so long. But really, I would also like to add in saying that, I think the government really needs to create a secure quarantine facility. You were asking about, how what can we do to the Australian for the local community? I mean, we can talk about rolling out the vaccination drive and getting more people vaccinated. We can talk about longer quarantine of time if required. So instead of quarantining people for 14 days, what about do it for 21 days, we're talking about 40,000 odd citizens that are stranded overseas. If the government says that they're getting 7,000 people home per week, this ordeal gets over within 5 weeks. But how will this ordeal get over if the borders are shut? So, everything has to work hand in glove, where if you keep the borders open, then stranded citizens will find a way to come home. And when they find a way to come home, Australia has to be there ready to get these citizens into a facility and keep them safe and keep the rest of the population safe, and do it in a way which is making pleasing to all. And like I said, if it means increasing a quarantine, the number of days, then so be it, and then make that as a rule rather than finding people or making them criminals.
We wish you guys all the very best. It's such a tough spot. We'll touch base with you again later in the week, you two, and we wish you again, like I said, from all of our viewers, it's an awful situation you're in right now, but we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.